Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the training, the TESS training. My name is Sophia. I am one of the customer success managers here at TESS by Travel eSolutions. So I know there's kind of a mixed group tonight, new agents and maybe existing agents who just need a little refresher. So we're going to go ahead and get started. When you log in, you should see something very similar to this. You might not have any trips in yet, but your dashboard will look pretty similar to this. As you add in your sales, you'll start to see your different sales charts, trips in progress, tasks in progress, or that are due in my case. So this is kind of what you'll see. If you haven't done this already, if you're a brand new agent, this is maybe, your first time, or you haven't even logged into TESS yet, everyone will need to do this just once. So if you go up to the right-hand corner and go to My Profile, you will see kind of your account here. So, just make sure you go to Settings up top and authorize your email. So you're going to click Begin. All you have to do is select the email address and phone number you use for travel and just authorize that. It basically allows TESS to send any emails on your behalf. Okay, next to that, you'll find the social providers. If you are using Facebook or Instagram, any of these for travel, or travel purposes, you can certainly add in your address there. That way the little icons will show up on anything that you send your client, and they'll be able to be redirected to your social pages. My account is really just going to show which account you're on. You all should be on the advanced plan, I believe. And so let's get back into it. So starting from our dashboard, I want to make sure here that, we're going to go down this list here. So we've got our client management. Actually, let's start from here. So the calendar is really going to show you kind of a calendar view of everything you've got going on that month. So it looks like today I've got 2 trips that are actually traveling, as well as 2 tasks that are due for me. So if I open up that day, I can see here that I've got a payment due for the Smith's Disney trip, and then I need to deliver the documents for the George Cabo trip. Also, my 2 trips that are traveling are, these 2 different families. I could click into each one of them if I really wanted to. My tasks over on the left, this is going to show me kind of a to-do list of everything that I need to do. Now, obviously, I am behind on my tasks. This is a fake account. So as I do my tasks, I can just check them off and they will disappear. So if you're a checklist person, this is going to be a great tool for you. Client management. So if I open up my clients, this is going to show me all of the clients that I have in the system. I can add a new client here, or I can add them from the trip itself. But I just want to show you kind of what each client profile looks like. So I can open up one of my clients' names here. It's going to show me, just information about my client, some contact details. We have this rewards program option. You can put in like their Disney, numbers, their American Airlines numbers, Delta numbers, any of that stuff, so that, you can save that all to their profile and you don't have to constantly ask them for this stuff. Passport details, you can store all of that. And then back up here, we have all of these tabs across the top for this client. So if I go to my client's tracking tab, I can see here, first of all, I can see relationships she has. So Belinda Bailey is married to Robert Bailey. It's her husband. They like to travel together, yet Robert has his very own profile, right? So if he takes a business trip by himself or something, I can always go to his profile. And so I can see some information about where they go. And then at the bottom, most importantly here, this is where your client's credit card can be stored. So if you take, their credit card for a deposit and they tell you to use that card moving forward, you're going to store that to their tracking tab down at the bottom here. You can always decrypt that to read the numbers of the card. Okay? Guys, if you have any questions while I'm moving along, please feel free to put them in the chat. Great. So let's go ahead to the trip management. Now, everything I do is going to be on a trip. So everything, the majority of my time in TESS is really going to be in this trip section. So when I open up trips, I can see all of the trips I've ever added in the system. Okay. And this is where I'm going to go to add a new trip. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to the green square here, say regular trip. Now I can also, for the record, I can start a proposal if I wanted to and start it that way. Today, I'm not going to do that. But if you look on the Facebook page, I have done that in many of the other trainings. So you guys can certainly look through those trainings to see exactly how to start with a proposal instead of a trip that's already confirmed. So I'm going to start with a trip. And I am going to just put in all of my information here. So I've got my dates handy. Let me see here. And I've got November 15th through the 21st. And I'm going to say Henry Cancun trip 2021. So I'm going to give this a title, a really good title that basically tells me the who, what, where, when of the trip. I'm going to save that. And the reason why I don't just say Cancun trip is because I might have, 20 Cancun trips by the end of the year. I need to put the last name of my primary travelers so that I know who's going where. Next thing I want to do is add my travelers. So first traveler is going to be Diana Henry. Now I don't have her in my profile already. Notice how if I only type in Diana, it's going to try to pull in Diana Davis. That's not the person that I want, but this person already exists in my client profile over here that I showed you earlier, which is why they're populating for me. So I'm going to type in Diana Henry. And it's going to ask me to create a new client. So I'm going to do that straight from the trip. Again, you can do that either from here or from client management. I am going to put in her email address and I'm going to create. Then I'm going to save that. So she's my primary traveler because I've been in touch with her the most. She's also going with her husband, which is Francisco Henry. Oops, Francisco Henry. Okay, and we're going to add him in as well as a new client. I don't know anything about him, so I'm just going to create and save. Okay, so I've got my two travelers in there. The next thing I want to do is, okay, 1 second. How do we send the client a form to input their credit card information? Yes, Melissa, great question. I am going to get there. So just sit tight for me and I will answer that question for you. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, we're going to add in our trip. We're going to add in our travelers. Now we're going to add in the itinerary portion of this trip. So I'm going to start by adding in a resort. And so this is going to be, let's send them to Riviera Maya, if I can spell it, Riviera, Maya, and okay, that one sounds good. And then we're going to give them a room category. Now, notice these resorts automatically pull in for me. All I have to do is type in a few details, a few words, and it'll automatically pull in what it thinks I want. So I'm going to give them a deluxe suite, or maybe I'll give them a swim up. Why not? We're going to save that. And if I have some other details, for example, I do know their flights that they want to take. I'm going to say add a flight. I'm going to put in their departure, which is DL598. Now, all I do is type in the flight code and it should populate for me right here the details of this flight. See, Atlanta to Cancun. Perfect. That's the one I want. The next thing I'm going to do is add another flight on the 21st, their return flight, which is DL591. And so same thing, I should get something to populate for me there. Perfect. And I'm going to save that. So I've got quite a bit of information already. It looks like they land at 2 o'clock. So maybe, you know, we put in that they're going to check in at 3, and then we can save that. So the times are important here when you're creating an itinerary to get everything to look nice. So now I have most of my things in here, and I need the most important piece. I need their credit card authorization. I want to send them some tasks to complete. And so what I'm going to do, there is a manual way of doing this, and I'm going to do that today. But what I think you should all really do is create an extension. For example, if I were to add an extension and say, send client forms, you see I already have all of these that are pre-built for me. So there's a client forms extension here. If I click save, it automatically fires off that email with all of those questions on it on that form. I'm not going to do that right now because I want you guys to see how to actually send the form. And then if you guys want to set up a different training, I can show you how to build the automated extension that fires off that form. So let's manually do that. What we're going to do is schedule automation email. It's right underneath the primary traveler's name in the traveler section. It's kind of small, but it's schedule automation email. I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to go through the prompt. So the first one is client portal tasks, not activation, do the tasks. Then I usually, just to keep it safe, I select every status except for canceled. I am going to send it now. So I'm going to set it to 0 days after activation and to this client only because she's my primary client. I'm going to go next and add a task. The first task I want to send is the traveler personal information validation. This basically has them confirm first name, last name, address, all of that stuff, not only for them, but for everybody traveling with them. So I'm going to select that one. Yep, I see Getty. Hi, Sophie. I'm definitely interested in learning how to create an extension and adding it to my TESS. Yes, Getty. I will be, actually, let me do that right now. I am going to put my email address in the chat for everybody to have. And at some point, if you want to advance a little bit more and learn how to build an extension, I can send you some tools on how to do that or do a one-on-one training with you. So there's my email address there. Great. So let's get back to what we're doing. I've already put in my one task for them to verify their personal information, but I have a few more things I want to do. So I'm going to continue to add tasks here. My second task is going to be payment authorization. That's the important one. Now remember, these boxes here, these text boxes, they're going to come in with some default text that we have in there for you. If you want to add or change any of this stuff, you certainly can do that. And TESS will remember it every time you send it to a new client or a new trip. So you can go ahead and edit those if you don't like the verbiage in there already. Okay, I'm going to add another task, and that's going to be travel protection. This is basically a question that's going to ask them, do you want travel protection, yes or no? So there it is, it's in there. My next task I want to ask is, maybe I want to put in some terms and conditions for my company. Maybe my lawyer gave me some verbiage that I want to paste in, however you guys want to do that, something to cover yourself. Maybe I want to put in a COVID waiver so that they sign off on it. So there's a custom task that I've created, and you guys have the ability to do so as well by changing title here and then pasting in whatever it is you'd like in this section. So this is an example. You can paste in your terms and conditions or COVID waiver into this box. And then your options for all custom tasks are going to be either you require input from your client, require acknowledgement, or require a signature. In this case, I just need acknowledgement from them saying, yes, I've read this and I'm good. So that's what I've selected. And now my last and final task I want to add on my form here is a special request. So I've also custom created this one, which you can as well. So I've named it special requests in the title. I'm requiring input from my client because I actually want them to type in the form for me if they have any special requests or allergies. So this is going to provide them a box to type in whatever it is they have, okay? So that's it. I have all my questions there, okay? And now the next thing I'm going to do is click Next. I'm going to select Client Portal Task Verification Template here. And I am going to click Set Template. That's it. So my form has just been emailed to my client, and I am just going to, basically wait for them to complete that and get it back to me. So while we're waiting on that form to arrive to Diana, I want to talk about just a few more things here. Actually, let me make sure I'm not missing any questions in the chat. Okay, good. Yeah, if you guys have any questions while I'm doing this, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Okay, so while I'm doing this, maybe I want to add some information about a transfer. So what I can do is put in add activity here. Anything I do in this box down here where I've added my flights and my resort and all of that, this is all going to populate on the itinerary. So you want this stuff to really look good, to make sense so that it looks, good in chronological order. So yeah, Melissa, I'm going to show you the form in just a second once the email arrives. We're just giving it a few minutes for it to arrive. So anyway, so here, you can put anything in this section and it is going to populate in the itinerary. So I'm going to add one more activity actually. I am going to say a transfer, and I'm going to put that transfer in when they arrive from their flight. I'm going to say that there's a transfer time of 2 p.m. and we'll just put Cancun let's just do airport transfer. Mexico airport transfer. And this is one that I've already built out, so that's why that automatically loaded in there. But you can say something about the Cancun airport, your driver is going to be waiting for you, all of that good stuff. And so we can save that. So let's see if our form has arrived yet. And it has not. Sometimes it takes it just about a minute or two to arrive to the client. Any questions on anything I've done so far? Do you contact the hotel to get room number, and how do you note that transfer if it is included in hotel costs? Yeah, good question. So I will talk about, yeah, do you contact hotel? Yeah, so TESS is really like an organizational tool for you. You still have to contact the supplier and all of that, right? And we'll talk about that in a second when we make the booking. But yeah, TESS is going to be a place where you can store everything you're doing and keep up with the process of the trip and send your client invoices, itineraries, and all of that, credit card authorizations. TESS is going to allow you to do all that, but it does not directly talk to your suppliers. So make sure you're, talking to the hotels and all of that, all of the suppliers as well. I hope that answered your question. But yes, I will be showing you how to itemize that the shuttle, for example, is included in this trip. So it looks like we've received our email. Let's see what that says. So I'm going to put my client hat on right now. Okay, I'm no longer the agent. I'm the client checking my email. Harry Handley has sent Diana an email. So Diana opens up her email. She sees my logo, my agent information, and she sees that she has a few things to do here, right? So what she's going to do is click on Review Tasks, and it's going to take her to her form. Yep, I will show you, Getty. Okay, so she's going to review tasks. And when she clicks on that, it's going to take her to this form where it asks her to basically start plugging in all this information, right? So what's her birthday? What's her husband's birthday? So on and so forth. So we're just gonna go in, type in whatever she says, right? Well, she's filling out this form for me, excuse me. So I hope I'm not confusing you there, but Smithy Lane, I don't know where I come up with this stuff, you guys. It happens. Okay, so because she's the primary traveler, she's responsible not only for her information, but for all travelers. So she's going to verify Francisco's information as well. And here, oh, she needs to put in his birthday, obviously. 19, okay. And then she's going to put in her payment authorization. So she's going to add a credit card. She's going to, oh gosh, I already forgot her name. What is her name? Diana Henry. Okay. So we're going to add a credit card. We're going to say Diana Henry. She's going to put in her card number. Her address, expiration, all of that good stuff. This is not a real card number, don't worry. And the good thing is your client has to complete all of this on this form. It will not allow them to submit this form if they have not put in all of the details. Here she can leave you notes on how to use the card. Please charge card for deposit. and any other payments for this trip. Maybe something like that, you know, whatever it is. Travel protection, okay? Yes or no? She's going to say, no, I do not want travel protection this time. She's going to read your terms and conditions and COVID waiver. She's going to acknowledge that. And then here, special requests, she can say that, you know, Francisco has a seafood allergy. Yeah, please mute yourselves. If you're not muted, we can hear you.
Taylor.
If you can just mute yourselves. Okay, that should be better. All right, so yeah, she can put in any special requests here. So Francisco has a seafood allergy. Yes, the form does cover all travelers in the trip, not just the primary traveler, Melissa. The important piece here is to make sure you have added all travelers here in this section of the trip. And then notice how Diana had to complete her information as well as Francisco's. So just as long as you have all the travelers in this section before you send the form, it's automatically going to have everyone's information up here in the top section. You see it had her and her husband. Good question. All right, so we're pretty much done with this. She just needs to sign. So Diana Henry, she's going to sign there. She can also sign here and submit the form back to you. Now, when she submits the form back to you, you are going to get an email notifying you that your client has, you know, submitted that form. So I see some questions. Can you add tasks at any time? Absolutely. You can send the form once and then get it back. And then if you're like, oh, you know what, I want to send another credit card authorization, you know, for their next payment, you can do that as well. So good question. Do we add all travelers even though they have different invoice numbers for cruises, for example? Are they all paying together? That's the main question, Getty. If everyone's paying on one invoice, then yes, you would do that. Now, if you've got different people kind of splitting the bill, then what you're going to do is instead of making them all like primary or whatever, you're gonna make sure that if you've got a bunch of travelers, or let's say like these two people are friends and they want to split the bill and you want to send them each their own form, they would both be secondary travelers, not primary. Do not make more than one person primary. It'll share all of the information. So what you want to do is if they are splitting the bill, and only if they are splitting the bill, you would mark all of the travelers as secondary and then send each one of them schedule automation email for each traveler. If it's just a normal family setup, you're going to have one primary, the rest are secondary. And so those are your two situations. Now, yeah, if they want to split the bill, that's the way to do that. So two secondary, and I'll show you on the invoice how that works. Now, also, if you've got like a bunch of people going on a cruise, you know, you're going to want to set that up. You're going to want to set that up like a group. And if it's just, you know, a couple of people that are splitting the bill, then that's fine. You can do it on one trip. But if it's like a huge group, you're going to want to set that up as a group and have everybody in there as their own reservation. Okay, so let's talk about the money now. So we've gotten our form back, right? Now there's a couple of things that need to happen. We just got an email notifying us that Diana has completed those tasks. So when we log into TESS, we see next to her name, 5 of 5 tasks have been verified. Guys, this is really important. You want to click on this every time they send you back those tasks, because it's going to allow you to update their profile to all of their current information. So if I click on that, all of this in red has been filled out by Diana. So I'm going to click on update. This will update her, her profile. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see here. Give me just a second. Okay, it should be doing that. I don't know what's happening there, but you're going to click on that update button. You can see everything she's done on this form here. And then you can also see, do the same thing for Francisco. So you're going to update his profile. See, it let me do it for his. Don't know what happened with hers. Okay, well, it's being finicky, so that's okay. All right, so you're going to basically update their profiles. Now, most important thing here is anytime they complete this form for you, you can go to your Documents tab, and it's always going to give you a form on, you know, the task that they've completed. So you can download this document, and it shows verbatim what they've done on that form. It's going to show all, you know, what they've signed. It's time-stamped with an IP address. So this is a legal document. It protects you, and it has, you know, everything that they've completed. You can always find that in your Documents tab of the trip. So really, we have everything we need now to make a booking. Oh, the birth year? Was there something wrong with it? Let's see. I'm not sure what happened there. That's all right, though. No biggie. You get the idea, guys. So what we want to do is make a booking, okay? Everything I've done so far is all good and dandy. You know, we've come a long way. But guys, if you don't put in those booking numbers, there's no way to track your sales. So I've got my booking number, I've got my credit card number. I'm going to call the supplier, and I'm going to make my booking. So across the top here, I notice all of these tabs for this trip. These are like a file folder with all the different tabs, right? So I'm going to open up my bookings tab, and I'm going to add a booking. Very important here that we add our booking. So I'm going to put in my booking number, and I booked this today through Classic Vacations or whatever supplier I used. My package price and my expected commission. And then I'm going to put in my final payment date. So this is likely about, you know, final payments about a month before they go. So I'm going to say October 15th, and then I'm going to save it. So now I've got my booking in the system, okay? Let's see what I've got a question on. What is package price? That's the price that the supplier gives you. That's how much your client owes. That's what the package price is. And the commission is what you earn on that. Cruise, like, is it before discounts? Yeah, so you could do it before discounts and then show the discounts and the payments, or you could just do the final price that your client owes. That's up to you. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but we can go. So now that we've got our booking in there, what we want to do is add in our payment. So we're going to go to the payment screen, and I'm going to say add a payment. So Diana Henry made a payment today with the payment amount of $500 for her initial deposit using the card that we have on file for her. And so anytime Diana makes a payment now, I'm going to save that to this trip, and that way I can send her an invoice. Now let's talk about, this is gonna, not all of you might need this information, but if you want to itemize anything, we can add itemization here. So I can go add itemization. I can say that the airport shuttle is included, right? So this was to answer someone's question earlier about breaking down the price. So I'm going to put airport shuttle here, and I'm going to say $0. What I also want to put in here is, maybe, gosh, I don't know, maybe their flights are this much. So we're going to put in, however much the flight is. So it'll kind of break down the whole package price with all these different costs. Now, if you wanted to put in a discount, I think what you were asking earlier, if we had planning fees, where do we put that? Yes, Keith, that's going to be right up here in the payment section. So, if I want to, out of this package, if I have a planning fee that's $100, I can put that in here. Okay, that's where you're going to itemize these things here as part of your package price. So make sure you include your planning fee and your booking as the original package price so that it comes out, so that it all makes sense. Let me make sure I don't have any other questions here that I'm missing. So we add cruise insurance if they didn't buy from us. Yeah, you can definitely add cruise insurance if they didn't buy from you. You can still put it in here just to give them a good view of what they're doing. And if you can mute
Had a
yourself,
deployment.
Please mute yourself if you are not muted. Okay, so good. So I've put in my itemization. I've put in my payments here, and as she makes more payments, I can always come back to the payments tab to add in more payments. So now, the moment we've all been waiting for, let's see what this looks like when I send an invoice to my client. So I'm going to go to communication. This is where I can find all of my templates. So from the template dropdown, I'm going to pull in my detailed invoice. This is my favorite invoice to use. And so let's see here. So I've got, my logo, my agent information. It's got her name. And then of course, where she's going. Final payment is due 10/15. And so here we go. I've got, my package and all of these different lines of what's due, her amount that she's paid here, and her balance. And of course, my little social media icons are there at the bottom. So if you're happy with the way this looks, you can email the invoice straight from here and send it to your client. Now, while we're here, I also want to show you what the itinerary looks like. We've already created it over in the trip info, so let's see what that looks like. If I pull in my itinerary detail with map, again, here I have my logo, my header, everything. At a glance, what they're doing, so it looks like they're flying, airport transfer, checking in, flying out, and then their trip's done. So here we go. As I scroll down, I've got they depart, arrive, they've got their transfer to the hotel, they check in to Riviera Maya, and it has all of this beautiful information. All I did was pull in the name of this resort, and our data has hundreds of thousands of different properties. So it'll pull in some information for you. Some have more than others, but and then of course their room category and all of that. So see, I really didn't do much to create an itinerary. I just put in the flight details and the hotel, and it made all of that for me. And I'm going to email this itinerary straight to the client as well. Okay, now one more thing I want to show you guys back on the booking. Someone asked earlier, what if like two girls are splitting a room? You know, you've got two friends, they want to split the bill 50-50. If I go over to my payments tab, notice that I have these little check marks up here at the top next to each traveler. Now, if this is a normal trip, you're not going to mess with this. Leave it alone. Don't do any of that, okay? But if you want Diana and Francisco to split this 50-50, what you're going to do is click on each one of their names, and it's going to have you put the percentage. So for the package price, if they're both splitting 50-50, you see it gives them each $2,847. All of that I can save, and then I can go to the communication tab, and now I can send Francisco and Diana their own invoice. So Francisco's is here, and then Diana's would be there as well with half of the amount. Make sense? I hope it does. I forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, that's how you would do a room split situation. Otherwise, you would use a group setting if you have more than like 2 or 3 people sharing a room, okay? All right, so let me take a look at my questions here. All right, okay, yep, doesn't look like I have any questions. Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at our trip stuff here. So this is our trip. So far, what we've done is, just to recap, we've put in our trip, our travelers, we've sent our traveler a form. Our traveler sent that back to us with a credit card number. So we were able to make a booking. We put in our booking, we added the payments, and then we went to the communication tab to send them an itinerary and an invoice. As I'm working this trip, I really want to be taking notes. So we have this lovely little notes tab at the top. And what I'm going to do is add a note every time I have communication with my client, or maybe even the supplier, right? So spoke with Classic Vacations, and, you know, whatever Classic Vacations told you, you can save that. Also, anytime you speak with your client, so spoke with Diana and she okayed trip and deposit on the phone, I sent her credit card off form. Okay, something like that. Whatever, anything you want to do to cover yourself, put in the notes section. If you've had an email back and forth with her, you can even add a note, copy and paste the email in this notes section, so that, guys, everything pertaining to this trip is all right here. You've got your trip, you've got your notes section. You know, you can always look back on this and see exactly what you've done. If, you know, God forbid something happens and they cancel, and now you want to go back and look and see what you've done, you have all of that information here. Now, the Documents tab, let's say Classic Vacations sends me a confirmation. Well, I want to keep that in this trip as well, because again, everything pertaining to this trip should be in the system. So what I'm going to do is upload a document. So maybe the PDF document that Classic Vacations sends me, I'm going to add a document. I will look for my document, wherever that is. I don't think I have a... okay, we're just going to use a fake one. So this Disney confirmation, pretend that's a Classic Vacations confirmation there. So I added the document. Now it's not loaded here. What I need to do in order to load the document is to click Update. Oh, I'm sorry. So rewind. I'm going to add my document. And then once I add it, I'm going to click Upload All. Now that the blue bar is all the way across, that document is now loaded on there, okay? The update button would be if you wanted to share a certain document with your client on their portal, which we have not talked about yet, you can share a particular document with your client and then save it so that it's shared with your client on that trip. But be careful, don't do that with confirmations that have, all of the details of their trip that you do not want them to see. That's a little bit tricky. In our other trainings that we've had, I talk a lot about the portal and what you can do with the portal and sharing documents with your clients and vice versa. So you could check those out and see exactly what I'm talking about there. Let's see, I've got some question. Yes, this notes section is for your eyes only. So if you've got a troubled client that you certainly don't want to do business with again, you might want to take some notes, and just so that it'll ring a bell next time they ask you to work up a proposal for them or something. Yeah, so don't worry about it. It's for your eyes only. Good question. What else? Okay. Are we making the payments for them with the client credit card information, or are we just recording what we see they paid? Well, no, I believe, Getty, that you need to be calling the supplier and paying with the card that they authorized you to use. The form is so that they authorize you to use their card. You're their travel agent, so I'm assuming you need to be taking care of those. So calling the supplier, or booking those trips through the supplier. You're the kind of the middleman between them and where they're going. So I believe that's how that works. All right, so we've talked a lot about this trip. So we've got, again, trip info, the bookings, communication tab is where you can send them all of their fun stuff. Documents tab, you can upload docs and find the credit card authorization form that's been uploaded there automatically. Notes, you can add any notes. And now let's say I want to set a reminder for myself. So I'm going to go to the task section and add a task. So maybe I want to follow up on final payment. And I know that their final payment is due October 15th. So maybe I want to follow up on that like the Monday before, just to make sure, that they're good. So I'm just going to do follow up on final payment. Task type is a payment due, and then I'm going to save that. So now I'm going to get an email, a day before this happens to remind me to go check in on this. So these are tasks for you. Now you can find them in this task section that I talked about the first few minutes of this training. And you'll also see them on your dashboard when you log in as, upcoming things that you've got to do. Any questions about those? Do you have credit card authorization templates we can use? Yep, they're already in there, and I showed you how to select the template when I went through that form. So just rewatch this training and you'll see exactly which template to select, Getty. All right, so let's go back into our trip. Now, in other trainings, I've also talked about automating like a before you go, welcome back, check your passports. And now those are called extensions. So I have one that's already created. I'm not going to show you guys how to create an extension today. That takes more time. But I am going to show you kind of what to get excited for and what you can do on your own trips. So I have an extension that I send to all of my international travelers called My Nomad Vacation International. It's got 5 emails and 3 tasks. And as soon as I pull that in here, it's automatically going to set up all of these emails down here to be delivered to my lovely client So one of them is check your passports. It's going to be sent, about a month before. Well, it's actually going to be sent in a couple days. I want to make sure that their passports are valid before they go. So an invoice is going to automatically go to them if they have not paid in full. A before you go email, maybe with a list of stuff to take, is going to go to them about a week before they travel. And a welcome home email is automatically going to go to them the day after they return from their vacation. So you see, all I did was pull in this extension and it automatically automates these wonderful emails that can go out to them. And we do have trainings on extensions. So if you're curious about that, please shoot me an email and I'll send you in the right direction on how to create those. Tasks. So this email had 3 tasks as well. So if we open up my task tab, you see here I had 3 more that automatically got added. One is to follow up on their passports to make sure that their passport is valid. I can check that off once I've laid eyes on their passport. Payment due, deliver their documents, that kind of thing. So you can check these off as you go. All right, we've got just a few more minutes here. I know that was a quick hour, so please put any questions you have in the chat for me to answer before we go for the day. And while you guys are putting those in, I'll just kind of talk briefly about commission reports. So, we've got different, as you receive commissions, you can put them in here so that you can track your commissions coming in. Unless you're with a host agency, in that case, you'll just have that automatically in there for you. Some great reports are projected income. This will show you your sales by travel date. Commission earned will show you your sales based on booking date. Your past due report, this is a really great report to keep eyes on. If you've got some bookings in there that are on this report, that's a bad thing. Okay, you either forgot to cancel the trip in the system, so you're still showing that this money should be coming to you, or you're truly waiting for a commission check. You're just waiting on the supplier to go ahead and send it out. So you may need to follow up on that with the supplier or your host admin, that kind of thing. So again, I always like to say this past due report should be empty. Mine is a mess. You do not want yours to look like this. This is way too many bookings that are unaccounted for, okay? So past due report should be empty there. If you've forgotten to cancel out a booking, if you're like, oh man, silly me, these people never went, they canceled, they got COVID and they canceled. You can open up that booking and cancel out the booking. So down below you have the booking status. You're just going to flip it to canceled, save it, and then you're also going to go to the trip information and cancel the trip as well. You see they have all these statuses. You're going to hit canceled and save. Now this will not count in your sales, so make sure to cancel the booking and cancel the trip. No, Latanya, this is a great question. Thank you for asking. So she says, will our fees always be visible to the client on the invoices? So Latanya, let's talk about this trip. I'm so glad you brought this up. Okay, so this is the trip we just did, right? In that booking, right, I put in my booking, Classic Vacations, their package price was, $6,400 something, and I upcharged this package an extra $100 for me, right, for my planning fee. You can do that. People do that. But in order to put that on the payments section, what you can do, So watch this. So I've got all of my itemization in here. My planning fee is $100, but I don't want them to see it. I don't want them to see that I upcharge them $100. I'm going to uncheck that little button right there. And now when I save it and go send them a invoice, it's not on there. The package price is still the same, right? But they don't see that my $100 was something I added as a planning fee. So you can do that however you feel like you need to. It really depends, you know, if you're your own travel agent, if you're with a host, all of that good stuff. But yes, you can certainly do that. And anytime you uncheck these buttons, this will be just for your eyes only in this case. You'll know that you charged them $100 extra, but they will not. So thank you for bringing that up. Getty asks, will the trip still show up even if canceled in sales? Yeah, so let's talk about canceled trips. I've got my list of trips here. If I go to trips, you know, here are all of the trips I've ever booked. Now, sometimes you get a trip that cancels, just like the one I showed you. And over here, all the way over, sometimes you have to remove this little hamburger menu here. If your screen is too small and you need more screen space, click on the hamburger bun there and it'll kind of give you more space, and then you can always bring it back. Just a little trick there. So over to the right, you see how I have statuses. I can filter for all of my different types of trip statuses. Canceled are automatically not in here. But if I want to see my canceled trips as well, I'm just going to click canceled and then click anywhere else. It's going to pull in all of my canceled trips as well. Okay, so you see here, anything with a slash through it, I've canceled. And see, they all have like canceled next to them. So they basically, you can never really delete anything in TESS. It's just going to show all of your canceled. Like here's a canceled trip, the Costa Rica trip that never went, it's canceled. But if I wanted to see exactly what I did with that, I can open it up, see that it's canceled, but still go check out my notes and my documents and everything I've done there. So good question, thank you. Okay, do you recommend us adding our personal trips in TESS even if we don't get commission for them? Yes, add them in. It's more practice. Send yourself the forms too. Like, guys, even if you're not really going anywhere, just go put in a fake trip, call it test trip, whatever. Send yourself somewhere. Practice with these forms that you're going to be sending your clients so that you can see exactly what your client is going to get. And then once you're all done with it, you're just going to go here and mark the trip as canceled and save it, and then no harm, no foul. So yes, good question. Please go practice your trips. That's the best way to learn to see how that goes. If you're not getting commission for a trip, you can just put traveled. If you want to use those statuses, you can leave it as active or just traveled, you know, either way, it doesn't matter. You also don't have to enter the booking if you don't want to. So you can go as far as not paying, then hit cancel. You can go the whole length of the way through the trip, Keith. Put in the trip, put in the booking, send yourself the stuff, whatever. Use a false credit card number if you want to play around with that form, just like I did. And then when you're all done with everything, cancel the booking, cancel the trip. And then it will not show in your sales. Cancel the booking, cancel the trip, okay? All right, guys. Okie dokie, thank you. Well, I think we've had a pretty successful training today. I thank you all so much for joining me. And I will be sending this recording over to Stephanie and everybody over at the group there, and then they'll be posting it to your Facebook page. So thank you all so much again for joining. I hope you're excited. Please shoot me an email if you want to do a one-on-one training, or if you just need a little bit more guidance. Happy to help you with that. My email address is sophia@traveleSolutions.com, and we'll talk next time. Thank you. Good night.